Hey y'all, this is Lindsay again, back for part 3 of my story. I can't believe it's been 2 months since the last video. It's been kind of rough the past few months health-wise, and I just haven't felt like putting thoughts together and talking. And sometimes that's part of it. I have got brain fog and can't think of words and lots of fun stuff. So yeah, before I begin, just want to say thank you for stopping by. If you want to subscribe, that'd be great. Share with your friends. Let's raise some awareness for this disease. And yeah, just let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for checking the video out. I mean, if you want to check me too, that's fine. But disclaimer before I go on, if I look around like this, or like this, or just I'm thinking of words. Helps me think for some reasons, kind of automatically does it. I just kind of do it automatically. And also forgive me if I remember stuff and have to backtrack and just brain fog. It sucks sometimes. So if I have to do that, bear with me. And yeah, still getting used to this whole YouTube thing, just recording with my phone. If it takes off or does something, I might get better equipment, but so far it's what I'm working with. So anywho, I might make this video a little bit shorter, in shorter parts. Maybe it'll get more views, and maybe it won't be so long and you have to sit through like an hour or something. It might be easier. So maybe I'll do like 20-minute interval videos and see how that does. But anyway, let me begin with just a recap. I just went over in parts 1 and 2 my beginning of my story, health journey, my life. Part 2, going into the later years, how more of my personal life, dating and meeting my husband. And I kind of left off at just stopping work and stuff like that. So this part is about my life now, what's going on, what has happened in the last couple years. And so yeah, I will backtrack a little bit before that and just say 2015 is when I started working for Kohl's down in Florida. I wasn't gonna get a job. That's right after I got diagnosed. It was about a year, and I was falling into sort of a depression that can kind of happen when you get diagnosed with something. I had learned that I wasn't going to be able to graduate high school, and so I was just kind of stuck watching my friends kind of, go ahead and on with their lives and college and all that kind of stuff. And so basically what was happening is I was mainly sleeping most of the day and having sleeping issues, so I'd stay up all night, and cycle like that isn't good. And just having too much time to think can start going down that drain, man. It's hard to get it back out. And my mom kind of noticed it before I did, that I was needing something to do, to look forward to be able to get myself out of that little funk I was in. So I put in some applications for different things, and I worked at a daycare for about a month. That didn't work out, so I put in some more applications for a part-time job, and I worked at Party City for a month. I will say, don't work at Party City. Well, I mean, it might be different now, but the managers I had there just didn't really know what they were doing, and it was chaos. But the only thing that came out of that was the job that I got after that, which was Kohl's. Funny thing is, I didn't want that job to begin with. I had a couple interviews with like a movie theater and different places. I didn't want retail again. I really didn't. I just put it in because that's who was hiring at the time during the holidays, right before the holidays. And had an interview with, I think, Subway, and but then I got an interview with Kohl's, and I took that, and I actually was real impressed when I went for the interview, but also when I went when they decided to hire me. The reason that I got hired is because one person from Party City that I knew said that they asked, do you know of anyone that needs a job? And she recommended me. And I found out later, much later, that I was on the last hiring group of the seasonal hiring, and they needed 1 or 2 more people, and they picked me. So it was a blessing. The manager I had he's a great guy, and gave me a chance when I didn't have any experience, really. Well, I had a little bit of a cashier experience from Party City, but that was about it. And it was just fun going into work. Those first year or two, I loved it. I loved the people that I worked with were like family. They accepted me, and I turned out to be really good at selling credit cards. And so I stayed there longer than I ever thought that I would, and it actually worked out longer. After I got to see my second doctor, he started me wearing some compression stockings and stuff like that, and was able to work more longer hours, and sitting down helped as well. They worked with me a lot. It was a good company. They worked with me a lot health-wise, and I know I was frustrating to work with a lot because I would call out some, and as time went on, it was getting harder to work, and I wasn't sure why, because nothing had really changed in my health. It wasn't. I didn't. It was just getting hard, physically, and at this time I had moved out my parents and was living at a mother-in-law type suite that was attached to a friend's house, and I moved in there, but it was across the street from where I worked, and so it was a blessing. And I rode my bike from there to work and stuff. And the only reason I kept working then was because I had to I paid rent with my disability, but at the same time I still needed money to live on. So it worked out there for a while. This was in 2019. I was dating my husband, Sam, and we were doing long distance. And so I was doing that, but it was getting increasingly harder as the years went on. The company changed a little bit. The manager who I originally started with retired and moved, and I like my managers then too. They're so great. The ones that are still there, they're good. The company changed just a little bit, and so it just felt different. I really didn't want to work for that much longer, but I didn't have a choice when I was living by myself down there. So after like I said in the last video, after I got married, I transferred up here into Jersey, and actually into Pennsylvania. We live pretty close to PA, and I worked there for a little while just to keep busy, but it ended up just hurting me more physically than I was able to keep up with. So made the decision to stop, which was tough because I did work. I was coming up on 6 years, and that's a lot longer than I ever thought was going. But I'm thankful for the manager, Jay, who gave me a spot for that long and accepted me onto the team. But my doctors had said, listen, if it's hurting you, if it's making you sick, it's not worth it. So it was, and it was just taking more out of me than it was giving, and for money-wise, I didn't have to work now because of my husband working, and my disability still had risen, so I didn't have to rely on working. So I ended up stopping, and it was a hard decision, but it was a good 5 years, and so anyway, back to a little bit of a medical stuff. My doctor in Florida was doing long distance. He was doing video chatting appointments, and it was good, but I eventually did need a doctor in person, up here in case something were to happen or something like that. And I was going to start looking for one, but then they told me, well, listen, he's not doing out-of-state patients anymore. And I'm like, made me panic because he was the one who was refilling all the medications. And so I was like, oh no, what do we do? And while I was on the phone with them, my husband, being the good one that he is, was already looking for doctors up here. on his phone. He was looking him up, and he found this guy. I think it was like the second or third person down, Dr. Nicholas DePace. This guy is what a professional, this smart individual, knows pretty much everything there is to know about POTS or dysautonomia, and he has his own. The clinic is called Franklin Cardiovascular. He's a cardiologist, but he has dysautonomia like centers. He's written books. He teaches. He's a he's a professor. He teaches. And also, cool fact that we just found out last visit, he's friends with Dr. Oz, which is pretty cool. He trained him. He's like, Dr. Oz? And we're like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I just had lunch with him last week. Great guy. Like, I trained him when I was younger. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, just like nothing. Pretty cool. But anyway, so we called them and asked if we had to have a referral or anything, and we didn't. And we got a spot in pretty fast, which is rare with him. Usually it's months. And they had one open like a few weeks later, so we took it. And we were there, it's about an hour away, but we were there a couple hours the first time. And what was really cool with him is he himself, the doctor, has had dysautonomia or POTS before, and himself after a viral infection in the 90s. And so no doctors were able to help him back then, so he kind of came up with his own regimen to get out of it. And sometimes you are able to get better if it's just from like a viral infection. But even he told me, and this guy, he's got like endless energy. You should see him crazy around the office. I don't know how he continues to do this, and he's probably in his early 70s too, like lots of energy, which is good, but I wish I had that much energy. But he told me or us that was like the worst thing he's ever had, illness he's ever had, fatigue wise, worst thing he ever had to go through. It was that the fatigue was that bad. And so a doctor that actually knows firsthand what it feels like to have this is very valuable. Like, no, doctors are special anyway, but if you have one that knows what it's like, can know what a patient feels like, it's very, very valuable and priceless, actually. And the Lord's good, man, just led us right to him. And so he knew exactly. And when I talk about, like, the first visit we talked with him, he predicted my symptoms. Like, he was like, you have this, right? You have this and this and this and headaches and blood pressure issues and this and this and this and that. And it was just like, yes, like to a T. The guy's like, yep, know it. And he was educating Sam more than he was talking to me because he knew I knew it, and so, which was cool. He talks to him, so he knows, hey, this is what she feels like. This is what she can and can't do. This is like everything, and gave him insight, and is very thorough as well. He wanted to redo a lot of the testing that I had done at Nemours because it's almost like 8 years ago. And so he wanted to redo his own tilt table testing and some other tests, some blood work, some different stuff just to see how things are going. And he did. Oh yeah, like I said, I have dry mouth from one of my medications, so you'll see me drink something. My bad. So he did do those testings, some of them that day, some to test later. But he did this test called a Valsalva maneuver, and it basically tests the autonomic nervous system response. What you do is you hold your breath and you bear down, kind of like guys and everybody, like you're having a bowel movement, but like push down really hard for 15 seconds, and they count that. And a normal person's nervous system would be fine and would adjust your blood pressure accordingly. In mine, it makes me pass out, and I don't usually pass out, so like it felt pretty weird. And is pretty much indicative of dysautonomia. And because my husband even tried the test and nothing happened. Me, yeah, I'm pretty much black out for a few seconds, and it's like the weirdest feeling. They call it like the torture test because it feels, when they do this stuff, they want you off all the medication so they can correctly see. They have you hooked up to like an EKG machine and stuff to look at your heart and all this kind of stuff. And so if the medicine's blocking it, they can't get the right reading, obviously. So they said don't take any medicine for like a day and then come in and do it, which already you feel like crap after that because all the symptoms are going crazy. And so I did that and a couple other things, and he had come in and said, you have severe autonomic dysfunction, which is coming from him, means, severe means pretty bad. The fatigue is overwhelming, and you can see it on the test. You could see my nervous system response from just a couple testings like that. So he also did a couple other testing. He also thinks I have what's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is the hypermobile disorder where I'm really mobile. My joints are pretty flexible. Like, say you can do your thumb to your forearm, or you can like bend double jointed type things. You can bend right different and stuff like that. But it's a connective tissue disorder. So there are like little what happens is in your collagen your body produces in your joints. It's like little tears in those connective tissues. Over time, the little tears get worse and causes pain and causes stuff. And so it's hard to find the cause of the dysautonomia or the POTS because that's just the symptoms and stuff overview of autonomic dysfunction. That's not if you can help the underlying cause of it, that will take care of the dysautonomia. Some people can't find an underlying cause because it's hard, because it could be trauma, it can be an illness, viral illness, anything can set off the nervous system. And we thought up until that point, this was the beginning of 2021, that because of the surgeries I'd been through with my intestinal surgeries and I had mono and all that, we thought all that was the cause of the dysautonomia. And it could be, he said it could be contribute, but he's thinking that I have the Ehlers-Danlos, which is causing the dysautonomia. The dysautonomia is a comorbidity of the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And that is hereditary. The Ehlers-Danlos is, my mom has a connective tissue disorder as well. So he says that there's this thing called the Batten scale, and there's a couple little things. How flexible are you? Can you put your hands to the floor when you bend over? Can you do this thing? How far does your fingers stretch and all that kind of stuff? And it goes to 9, 0 to 9, 9 being the worst. And mine was 9 out of 9. And so he's thinking this is causing the dysautonomia. And unfortunately, with Ehlers-Danlos, there is no cure. And there wasn't a cure for POTS either, unless you really could, fix the underlying disease, which is rare. And with Ehlers-Danlos, unfortunately, it's non-curative and it's progressive. So it's going to continue getting worse over time. They don't know how fast or whatever, but it's usually pretty slow. But it's that would explain why things have been getting harder the past couple years, like at work and stuff like that. Is the fatigue has gotten worse, the blood pressure has gotten worse, the headaches and the tiredness and everything has all gotten a little bit like steadily worse, and that would explain why. And it fits to a T. We looked it up, and everything, looking up the Ehlers-Danlos and stuff, it explains everything to just about precisely of what I have. And so that was kind of hard here to know that this is pretty much the best that I'm going to be health-wise. It's probably not going to get a whole lot better. I mean, there's some exercise things that I can do to help a little bit. But now that we know it's Ehlers-Danlos, it's just kind of something that you gotta live with. And you manage the symptoms, and you take the good days for the bad, and you just keep going. And so, but like we were thinking, like, what are your plan? People have asked us, what are your plans, kids wise? What are your plan? What do you want to? You want to have kids? Do you want to not? You want to? What do you want to do? And unfortunately for me, it's not a straightforward yes or no. Like, we can and can't do this. We do want kids, yeah. Doctor has said we can have kids. And I thought I would have to get, like, off my medications to be able to try and get pregnant, but turns out you don't have to get off of them right away. When you're pregnant, then you kind of slowly get off of them. And what's interesting is you can, when you're pregnant, the hormones and stuff kind of trick your body that the disease is gone. And it's like this is what happened to my mom when she was pregnant. Her disease kind of went away completely when she was pregnant with us. And then it came back when she had us. So there's a chance I could feel a lot better when pregnant, And so that's a thing. But, like, it's also a thing that we have to think of is not just getting pregnant. It's just being able to raise a child, and physically be able to keep up with them. And as the years go on, if things are worse, am I going to be able to? Is it going to be fair to the child? Is it going to be, fair to my husband? Is it, like, what's, I don't know. And there's a chance, yes, that mine is hereditary and it can be passed down. So do we want a kid to have this? As well as my husband having Asperger's, which is on the autism spectrum, very high functioning, but still there, that can be passed down as well. So worst case scenario, do we want a kid that is burdened with having autism and a physical illness like mine? Would that be even fair to them? There's a chance that it wouldn't be that way though too. So it's like, we're just waiting to kind of see what the Lord kind of wants us to do in that situation, because it's not as easy as, okay, let's just try and get pregnant. There's so many factors to it that it's hard to grasp, because, like, it's hard for me to sometimes just thinking, like, everything is tough for me, kind of like nothing is easy. Like, I can't just be like, yeah, let's have a kid. Yeah, I can't just, nothing is easy. There has to be a planning, and you gotta plan this and plan for trying and getting off this medication when and this and stuff. And I'm glad that there are options now that you can be on some blood pressure medications while pregnant, certain ones, because the thing is, I've been off medication. I remember what it was like without any medication in my system, and I was like 10 times worse than I am right now. And I was really sick. And so getting off medication, would that happen? Would my body tolerate being off of them? Who knows? Like, there's just so many variables, in this. And so it's a lot, it's a big decision for us. And if we're not going to have a child, do we want to do adoption? Do we not want to at all? And there's, we got to also think age-wise. I'd like to be done, if I'm going to have kids, by 30 or so. I'm 26 now. I'd like to be done, because risks double as you go higher when you're older, as well as my husband being in his 60s right now. Like, his time is kind of running short too, right? So it's like, we're also on a time scale here, And so, like, that's if you're of the praying kind, or you pray, we would appreciate to know what to do in the future. It's, it's just a lot, and so for right now, just, we're focused on my health-wise, just getting a little bit into better shape, lose a little bit of weight, try to get things down a little bit, less symptoms down before trying that, if we do go down that road. And so the doctors have helped a lot. We're still seeing Depache. We usually see him every couple months. They're good with monitoring us and trying different things to see how things go. I'm also with a pain management specialist because I've had some nerve pain, we think, that's in my stomach area, right where that twist was with my intestinal surgery. Been in some pain and they didn't know why, so we went to a pain specialist and they said, hey, we have these injections that we can do, under anesthesia that helps with nerve pain. We can put it like a nerve block, kind of like in your back and right here. And if it helps, we know it's a nerve issue. And that's just in replacement to being on pain medication a lot for long term, because being my age, they're cautious with adding any more medication, as well as adding pain medication. Narcotics and stuff aren't the best, and I really don't want to be on them if I don't have to, of course. But this pain has been, it's been pretty consistent, and it's pretty much whenever I eat and food seems to get to that area, just aching. It's just aches, and they haven't been able to find anything on scans or anything like that, so they're thinking it's a nerve issue. And I've had those injections done, and they've helped really well. So I get those done usually every 3 months or so. Thankfully being put under for them, and this doctor's been the pain doctor's been a little bit behind, so I haven't had it for the last couple months. But yeah, so that's another thing that's going on. And when you're in pain in general, for most of the time, it wears your body out when you're not normally sick. But when my body is already off and the immune system is down, and it just kills completely any energy that's there. So it's been tough to be able to go places, and been sleeping a lot just because I'm exhausted, and I could sleep all night long and wake up like I haven't slept anything like at all. And I do have trouble sleeping with the adrenaline stuff, and so I don't really get a ton of sleep at night, and just daytime I'm just tired, and it's just a lot, and so I've been able to go to church and stuff when I really want to. It sucks, like I just want to be able to do normal stuff, and when your body doesn't function correctly, or like I feel like it hates itself for some reason, it's just trying to sabotage everything. I'm still learning how to live with it. I don't think I'm ever going to know exactly, be like, yep, I know how to live with it now. No, like, just, but you do learn that you got to take stuff day by day, and sometimes minute by minute, because stuff changes really fast. And it has made me more grateful for the good times that I'm able to have. When I do have good times and able to go out and have a date with my husband or do whatever, I'm very thankful that I'm able to do that. There are a lot of people who have this disease and are wheelchair bound and are on feeding tubes and a whole bunch of different stuff. I know it can be worse. It doesn't really minimize my pain, but it could be a lot worse. That's just thinking Because He Lives, that song is just because He lives I can face tomorrow. And so, but because He lives I can face tomorrow, and didn't say that tomorrow's going to be easy. But He did say He'd supply everything that we need, and the Lord's been good. So as for our life, life's pretty good. It's just a day by day thing, it's just having good support from my husband, who's been great at taking the caretaking role over. I never really wanted to be a burden on anybody before I got married. Before I met him, I was worried that I was going to be a burden on anybody who I did marry, But he hasn't ever said that to me. He's never said I've been a burden on him. We help each other out with him having the Asperger's, and he did give me permission to talk about this, and I think I'm going to make a different video, awareness for him, and what's going on in his world, and what it's like living with that. We both can hold each other up because we both have something, and I have something more physical, he has something more behavioral, and so while we both don't know exactly what each other's going through, we're still there. And so, a lot of people, some people have said, with their age difference, aren't you worried that he's going to die first or whatever? Technically, he's a lot healthier than I am. When he's at the doctor and they say, hey, you don't have high blood pressure, you don't have this, you don't have that, he's in good health. I'm thinking, I have that, I have high blood pressure, I got this and this, So technically, he's healthy as can be. If anything were to happen, I'm more likely to be the one to have it's just, it's just what it is. And so that argument's invalid, and whenever the Lord wants you home, he wants you home, I'm not saying anything that any of us want to be there, but if he wants you there, he wants you there, he'll take you, so that's up to the Lord. I don't know when or if or when that's gonna happen, but it's up to him. So yeah, but the good stuff has been, and it's been good. We've been able to go on some adventures and be able to do some things that I like to do. We live close to Six Flags Great Adventure, and before anybody says, oh, how can you walk a theme park, man? How do you do that? No, I don't walk theme parks. I use one of those little electric scooters and get a disability pass that the doctor gave me to be able to do that. I would never be able to walk. Walking is really hard for me. Short distance, long distances, it wears me out completely. And so yeah, I use one of those little electric scooters, and the looks I get from people, because I look normal, the older people especially look at me like, what the heck are you doing in that thing? And even someone told me, man, you're lucky you get to have that. No, I'm not. You're lucky you get to walk. You look, yeah, there's perks that come with it. Sometimes, you get to be at the front of the line for any ride that you want to ride. If you can get out of it and get on the ride, they'll let you be in the front and get to pick the seat. And as a coaster enthusiast or someone who really loves roller coasters, that's great. You get to pick whatever seat you want. Sweet. Love it, and I love the Six Flags Great Adventure. It's a great day. We're about 20 minutes from it, and it's fun. We get to go and do that. We just went to Dorney Park, which was a couple weeks ago for our second wedding anniversary. Our anniversary was October 23rd, and we were supposed to go see Alan Jackson in concert. That's, if you guys know me, I'm a huge country music fan, older country music. I'm sorry if those who think it's country nowadays, it kind of isn't, but that's just my opinion. You like it, that's great. It just doesn't sound like country music. And but he was coming close to us, and so we got tickets for our anniversary, and he had to postpone it to next year. He's got some health issues that Alan Jackson does, and so hopefully we get to see him. But since that got moved, we decided to see what was around the area. And there's a little theme park from Cedar Fair, this company who owns Cedar Park around here called Dorney Park. And so I like to go and ride new roller coasters, and he doesn't like roller coasters, but he likes the little spinning rides, which I can't stand spinning stuff. You want to make me throw up, that's how you do it. But he loves them, and so even despite him not liking roller coasters, he still takes me to a roller coaster park, and because it's fun, and it's just something that I can do without thinking of medical stuff for a while or whatever's going on. Gets my mind off of it. So needless to say, I really want to go to Cedar Point. Anybody like or live near Cedar Point and like roller coasters or anything, call me up. I want to go so bad. But that's in Ohio, so no plans for that yet. But also, we just found out we get to see George Strait is going back on tour next year for a couple shows, and Anybody who knows me just about knows that's my favorite singer. He's a great singer. Just 60 number one hits, and country music, they call him King of Country. And y'all, anybody friends with me on Facebook will know I get to see him. Like, they, we sound that he gets to go to. We're going to Nashville next year, and so Nashville's another place that I've wanted to go for a long time as well. And so, just learning country music and learning George Strait and stuff. I'm excited. I am so excited. And so, like, he brings me on some good adventures. Like, he's a great husband, and I'm very, very thankful for him. And couldn't do half this stuff without him, and takes me to all the doctor's appointments and takes off of work every time we go to see Dr. Tapachi. And so that kind of stuff is, you enjoy the good. Am I in pain most of the time? Yeah, you can't tell, but pretty much anytime I see anybody, something's hurting. So when I do say I'm in pain and something hurts, and it really, really hurts. And so I appreciate y'all who, I've had people who don't think, doctors even, who've told me this is all in my head, it's not real. And technically it is, because your nervous system is kind of like on your head. So kind of it is. But I'm not, I've been told I should go see a psychiatrist and different kind of, and that's not what somebody who knows something is wrong with their body, and it, should hear from any doctor, because you don't know what's going on. Don't say I don't get offended very easily by pretty much anything, but if you tell me, man, I just don't believe you, or hey, you really should try harder, or hey, you should go to just drink some more water or go gluten-free, it'll cure you. No, I didn't ask for advice. And you don't know what I'm going through, and no, it's not related to gluten, unfortunately. If it was that easy, we'd all be cured, but that's one thing that'll kind of make me a little upset, is if you kind of come at me saying, are you just not trying hard enough? Or have you tried this and this and this herb or this supplement or this oil or whatever? Yeah, pretty much if you've told me, have you tried this, we probably have. So, maybe think before, I'm not talking about anyone specific, but just if you think, oh, hey, this advice is really going to help someone, well, maybe think a little bit before you talk to someone who has this illness, unless you have it yourself or a different chronic illness that what feels like. Maybe you shouldn't. Just offer support, offer to listen, offer to be there. If you want to know what to do, just say, I'm here for you. That'll mean so much more than any advice or any treatments that you think will work, And the people say, you should just get off medication and go natural. Listen, if I didn't have to take 20 or so medications every single day, this is all medication, okay? I carry this around with me. If I didn't have to take all that every day, I'd love it, man. But those medications right there, I think God made doctors and God made medication as well for people who need them. Those things are keeping me alive right now. If I didn't have those medications for blood pressure and my pulse rate and stuff, I could be dead. Doctors have told me the only thing that would make this disease dangerous is if I did absolutely nothing to treat it. The blood pressure would go high enough that it could cause a stroke and kill me. So, no, I can't just stop and go natural. There are certain types of pots that you can just treat with water and salt to keep your blood pressure higher. That's great. If you can do that, all the more power to you. I wish I could too. I'm jealous. But I have to. There is no choice. If you don't, you will feel it. And I will feel it within a day or two if I stop any of those. I will. I will not be able to. I will be bedbound within a week if I don't have any medication like that. And none of them, I think I have some pain medication until my next procedure. They're all blood pressure related. Blood pressure, pulse rate, heart rate, GI issues. That's all it's for. My blood pressure would go, I'm not kidding, normal is 120 over 80, okay? Blood pressure by standing went to almost 180 over 100, and my pulse rate, which is supposed to be 60 to 80 beats a minute, went to 200 by standing up. Most people can't reach that high of a heart rate when they're working out. Okay, so that feels like internally, even if I'm not shaking, internally it feels like my body's going, like I've drank 3 energy drinks and took a caffeine supplement. That's what it feels like. Because my body's giving me so much adrenaline that it's like that all the time. You would only need that adrenaline when you're in a dangerous situation normally. I'm not. So, yeah. People who are anti-medication, you need to try this herb or whatever. No. I'm pro-medication because it's keeping me alive. And I think, like I said, I think God made doctors. He did. And he made stuff like medication to help. And if it wouldn't help, the doctors wouldn't put me on it. This doctor is way too smart for any of that. He knows exactly this is what is needed. And this is what needs to be. Look him up. Nicholas DePace. DEPACE. Probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met. And the Lord is great to leading us there, showing Sam that on his phone that day. This man is, I can't even describe how great he is with this stuff and knowing exactly what it's like. And to this day, the waiting room is so full. Some people, they're there till 10 o'clock at night sometimes seeing patients. Okay, that's how busy she said people come from out of state every 6 months. They fly in just to come see him. So you must know something, And so if you can't see, just a moral story, and I'll end this rant because I know this video is almost done. If you can't see somebody, if you can't see their illness on them and they say they're sick, give them the benefit of the doubt, because 90% of them or 98% of them are telling the truth. They're not making it up for attention. If I made this up for attention, why would I pick this thing? I had never heard of dysautonomia in my life. Believe people. You don't know. What another thing this thing has taught me is you don't know what they're going through. I'll give you an example. When I was working as a cashier, I meet a lot of different people, okay? I was always nice to them, and a lot of people would say that, and they wondered why. Because you don't know what is going on at home. You don't know what they're going home to. You don't know what situation they're in. You have no idea. This one lady I was talking to had 2 little grandsons with her. She was getting school clothes for them. She had told me, I got to talking to her a little bit, and I gave her a discount or something, and she was so thankful, and because she said, the oldest grandson here is 7, just found his mom passed away from a drug overdose. He was the one that found her. And now she and her husband have adopted them, and the kid's father's in prison, and they've adopted them to raise them. And now they're trying to figure out how to do that. And looking at them, you don't know that. That moved me a lot because I didn't know that situation. It just looked like a grandparent with a grandchild. Who knows? That's it. People have given me hugs and tears because I was so nice. I'm not bragging on me. It's just, there's no need. There's so much negativity in this world. There's so much of it. Why have a bad attitude with people and make it worse? You don't need that. Nobody needs that. You don't know what is going on in someone's life. I'll give you one more little example. Long time, 12 years ago, my brother and his friends were going to the beach. Got caught in a rainstorm, so they ran to the Wendy's right there to get something to eat. And we used to have these little tracts at our old church, smiley tracts we call them, and it was the plan of salvation in them. It says Jesus loves you on it. And Jared, my brother, handed the cashier one, and they went to eat, and they were about to leave, and the cashier stopped him and said, "Hey, I want to thank you for giving me this." She read it. She said, "Because I was planning on going home and committing suicide tonight." Of course, it stunned him. I mean, that kind of thing. You don't know. You don't know. You just don't know what people are going through. And, yeah, there are bad people out there. But most of them aren't. And I don't care what religion you are, what political affiliation you are, whatever. Don't have to be mean to someone. You can agree to disagree. So maybe if this is the takeaway from me in this video, because I know it's longer than I said it was going to be, agree to disagree with the person, but be nice. Love them. Because Lord knows we all need more love now, especially going on right now with everything. If you didn't know me, you would know half the stuff that I'm going through, and I don't know half the stuff someone else is. That quote, "Be kinder than usual because everyone's fighting some kind of battle you know nothing about." Truth. You don't. You don't know that you could be the person that's helping somebody just by talking to them. So maybe go out of your way and do something kind for someone, or just say hi to someone you might think you might disagree with. Just love them. Love people. That's what the world needs. And I know that when someone says something like that to me, or is just is kind and sweet to me, it makes the world, it makes my day, and it just makes everything better, and it's a blessing in disguise. And I think a lot of times the Lord have sent people to me like that when I needed it. So, maybe do that for people. Just be nice and love people. And people ask me, how do you do this? You've got so much for your age. You're too young for this. Like, how do you do everything? You're 26 years old. How have you gone through this? Why are you happy? Like, how are you able to function? All these questions, like, the only answer I have is the Lord. He's the only reason that I'm still here right now. The Lord, my husband, my friends, my family. How do I go through it every day? I don't know. I don't. I actually don't. I just know that I have to do a moment at a time, and day at a time, and just gotta keep going, because just keep going. Just don't stop. If you have to rest longer than you should, then do it. Listen to your body. Don't make yourself more sick. But I am too young for this. Yeah. It is kind of sucky to be on Medicare, on disability. I've had 2 colonoscopies before I'm 30. Before I was 20, I had one. Taking blood pressure medication with compression stockings. I'm pretty much a older person already. When I get to be that age, I'm already going to know what to do. But, the Medicare pays for every single medication that I have. That would be $1,500 a month just for the medication alone. And that's just to manage the symptoms. That's not to take away anything, So God's good in that, and he's good in a lot of ways. So while it's hard to think that this could get worse, I'm still here. It's a one day at a time thing. And so yeah, that's what's been going on. I've adjusted well up here, living in Jersey, and with a new church who love me and who love both of us, and lots of people that love us, and a lot of activities to be able to do, and a new kitten, she's about a year old, running around here somewhere. I'm good. I'm blessed. And while sometimes I don't act that way, and I can be hard to love a lot of times, I am blessed. I've got good family. I've got a great husband. A lot of people would give up a lot to have what I have. And so, yeah. So that's pretty much my story so far. The Lord's working on me still. Got a long way. Know I'm a youngin'. Only born in 96, but been through a lot. It'll be 10 years next year since that intestinal surgery. And it just blows my mind it's been that long. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching. I still care for a lot of the doctors and people that I'm not seeing anymore. And if you can keep in prayer for one of them, the surgeon, Dr. Burns, that I mentioned in the first video, the sweet guy who did everything, who saved my life. I saw off one of his social media and a couple other pages that his daughter passed away from cancer last June, the youngest of four, and of four kids, and she was like 20 years old. And there's someone who's saved countless lives, I'm sure, being a doctor, who probably knows the Lord. If I were to judge, I don't judge, but if I were to guess, probably knows the Lord. One of the sweetest human beings on earth, who loves kids a lot. That's got to be hard. I can't imagine that. Being a parent, I'm not even a parent, but from what I've heard, being a parent, wanting to fix everything, being able to not able to. So my mom has told me not able to fix anything when your child is sick, and then being a doctor on top of that, that's gotta be tough, knowing that you couldn't have done anything, So keep them in prayer. It's another thing. I would think a world-renowned surgeon saving little kids' lives all the time. And then again, patients don't even know what's going on in his life. And I don't even say nobody should, it's personal life, but still, that's just, you still don't know, and he's still treating patients like they're their own his kids. So keep them in prayer too. You don't know. You just don't know, right? And you don't know, tomorrow is not promised. One of my friends who I knew from work, one of my great coworkers, her name is Ricky, 25 years old, teacher in Melbourne, still was, Palm Bay, was one of my great coworkers that I started with and worked for 4 years. Her and a friend were walking from a restaurant and got hit, and a truck lost control of their truck and hit them and killed her and her friend. Guaranteed she didn't know that was gonna happen. That hit home a lot. That was hard being away from, wasn't able to go to the service or anything, but it hit home. That's my age. So if you think you got a lot of time, you might not. If you don't know the Lord, and I'm not making my whole video about this, but if you made it this far, I feel like I need to put this in here. If you don't know the Lord as your Savior, who died for you on a cross and paid for your sin and is offering a home in heaven for those who believe in him and have a relationship with him, if you don't know that before you die, there is a very real place called hell that exists. Eternal torment. It's real, people. The world is saying it's not. That's the world. That's the devil saying that. It's don't believe that. You don't have a lot of time. Even if you live to your 80 something, that's still not a lot of time. You know? You don't know. If you died today and you didn't know the Lord, that's where you're going. Hell. So come to know the Lord. If you have questions about that, I would love to answer and talk with you about him. It's the best decision you'll ever make in your life, and I guarantee you it's so much more peaceful knowing where you're going if you do pass away. My dad would tell people, when he used to work in retail, why are you so happy all the time? What is going on when it says retail? Well, when you have heaven guaranteed, it changes everything. If you were to die, that's where you're going. An eternal place with the Lord that's pain-free, that's hurt-free, that's sin-free. Worshiping the Lord for eternity, and eternity is endless. And you get to worship him here and live for him. It changes everything. I saw a meme on Facebook that says, I love Jesus and I don't want to shove it down your throat. But if you don't know him, you're missing out. Please consider it. Consider coming to the Lord, because, like I said, you're not promised tomorrow. You may just go to sleep and not wake up. It happens. Stuff happens. Car accidents happen. Bam, you hit by a car, it's done. You're done. Like, get a cancer diagnosis when you thought you're healthy. Terminal. Got a few weeks left. That's it. Okay, we're all actually terminal if you think about it. We're all terminal. We're all gonna die. If the Lord doesn't come back first, we're all going to die. Sorry, it's kind of negative. That's another reason to love people. Because if you know the Lord, show your light for him then to somebody who doesn't know him. As someone who passes away who knew the Lord versus someone who doesn't, I've seen both, and both are completely different from each other. Peaceful versus not. There's people I've lost that I know that have known the Lord that we miss every day. Of course, we're going to miss them. But we get to see him again. They're waiting for us. People who don't know the Lord, we don't get to see them again, or you don't see the Lord again. And that's a scary place. And hearing, "Turn from me, I never knew you," from the Lord is the scariest thing you're ever going to hear. Because at that point, it's too late. So, people wonder how I get through this stuff. Jesus. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future. And life is worth the living just because he lives. Gaithers, Bill and Gloria Gaither. Great song. The last verse, and then one day